Hello, friends. Ellie Mae here, your financial coach, helping you save money, make money, and get out of debt. So excited to continue this series about seed time, progression time, and harvest time. We started yesterday. If you didn't log in yesterday, I would urge you to listen to yesterday's live, or if you're watching the video on YouTube or listening to my podcast, because it was kind of like an overview of the three phases that we're going to be talking about this week. So again, welcome if this is the first time that you join us, and appreciate that. And also, make sure that you tag someone, or even after you finish, if you're just able to listen, you could share this information with someone that you feel that they might need it, or even if you don't think they might need it, make sure you share it with them. So moving on, again, thank you a million times for listening. Moving on, like I said, yesterday we introduced seed time, progression time, and harvest time. And these are the three phases of growth. And each one is different, so each one needs something different from us. So today, we're going to dive straight into the first phase, which is seed time. So let me just give a couple of moments to make sure some people join us here on Facebook Live. But the first thing I want to do is to define what seed time is. And this is the phase of preparation. This is the phase where everything happens. You know, when you make the decision that you're going to do something, this is the first phase that you have already decided to say, well, you know something, this is what I'm starting, this is what I'm planting. This is, if we use the analogy of a tree or farmer, well, this is what he or she decides what they're going to grow. So therefore, they know what seed they're going to plant. So relating to finances, well, what are you planting? What is your ultimate goal? So if you know your ultimate goal, therefore, you know what you are going to plant. You follow what I'm saying? So let's say it's an emergency fund you're building, or let's say you're working on your budget, or you want to buy a house. All of those are like your harvest, correct? So then you have to choose what your harvest is first. You know, you have to decide. I remember Coach used to tell us a while back, and I kind of learned a lot from it. Decide what you want first. A lot of us start doing stuff without knowing what we want. Well, decide what your harvest will. You know, if you want to have a whole farm of corn, well, then you know you have to plant. You know, I told you yesterday I don't know anything about farming, but however, whatever it is you need to do to get corn. But if you don't know what you want, if you don't know what kind of farm, what kind of plant, what kind of tree, if you don't know if you want to put down payment for your house or vacation, emergency fund, if you don't know all of those things, how are you going to begin, or what are you going to plant? Right? So there's a real famous quote that says, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is to start today. And I always love that. But my coach used to say, if you know what you want, if you have decided what you want, let's say if you maybe you don't know. Okay, so now you start thinking, okay, what do I want? What's my harvest? Right? And again, we're relating it to personal, professional, and finances. So you know what your harvest is. You know what you want, right? You don't have it yet. Then you go back up the steps to these, then you know how to plant it, how to start it. Because if you don't know, again, a lot of people go through life all not knowing what they want. And that's why they're frustrated, they're sad, they fall into depression, because they don't know what they want. But if you know what you want, then you know how to work. You could find out. Maybe you don't even know how to work towards it. That's why we're here, to educate you about finances. But let's say you don't know how to work towards it. But if you already know what you want, if you know you want to put in the next 10 years your down payment for your first home, or even your second home, then now we could back up and say, okay, here's where we start, how we start, with what we start. How do we get there? It's the same like in a race. You know, I love to tell stories, or I love analogies. It's just like in a race. These professionals or even amateurs that go in, there's a 100-meter race, 400-meter race. They know the ultimate goal. They know their harvest or their goal is the finish line, but they don't start at the finish line. They know that's what they want. So they start in the beginning where, where you're first, whether if it's your training, exercising, meals, all that kind of stuff. So the same with us when it comes to our personal life. And most importantly, well, not most importantly, but just as important, your finances. Because the worst thing is to go through life not knowing what you want, then therefore you have no direction. You're left, right. I use the analogy of the GPS all the time. From where I'm at, when I want to go to Florida, it's 20-something hours. I know my ultimate destination. Ooh, excuse me so much. I know my ultimate destination, which is Florida. So I use the GPS, will take me where I want to go. But how am I just going to go on the road, start driving, guessing left, right, north, south, east? I might have a general idea, but if I don't use that plan, that GPS, I wouldn't get there in the 25 hours. The same thing through life. Some of us go through life, we don't know what we want. So anything happens, we go to the left, we go to the right. Then we are frustrated because we don't have a clear path. So with your finances, it's the same thing. That's why planting that seed towards whatever you want, i.e., emergency fund, get out of debt, down payment for a mortgage, is very important. So the thing is, it's not so much what you want, but when to start, which, like I said, the best time to start, I mentioned 2 seconds ago, was 20 years ago. The second best time to start is like right now. So, examples, saving $20 a week. It might not seem like a lot, just like a farmer when he plants that seed. It might not seem like a lot. It might seem like, oh my gosh, this is going to take so long. But the important thing is to plant that seed. Let's say at your job you have a 401k. And you say, well, $20 on my paycheck is not going to do a lot. Yes, it's going to do a lot. See, the thing is, like I mentioned yesterday, a lot of us are caught up in this microwave society that we want things now. We want things yesterday. But seed time, progression time, and harvest time is a process. We're not going to get it tomorrow. Let's say you want to learn how to cook. And the first day, you put that pot on and you're following a video. You don't know how to do the specific plate or the specific dish, but eventually you'll learn. I'll give you one last analogy. And again, I'm dating myself. When I went to school, they were teaching us how to type in an actual typewriter. And we started with one finger, one pinky, the index finger. And each day or each week, we learn how to move a different finger towards at the end of the course. Now we're expert. And I don't remember how many words per minute I was able to type, because then that was a thing. If you wanted a job, a secretary, now that they call it, administrative assistant, you had to have that speed. The better your speed and accuracy, the better job or the better salary they will offer you. So the same thing. The smallest seed can grow to the biggest tree if nurtured. Now, let me give you an example. I mentioned yesterday, a good friend of mine, and I said about he planted a tree. I wasn't sure of the time. I spoke to him last night. He planted an avocado seed, not a grafted or, little tree, the actual seed. And it took 10 years for that tree to grow and bear fruit, for him to be able to take that first avocado from that tree. Now, some of us don't have that patience. And that's why the progression time is so important, which we will speak about tomorrow. But the thing is, the smallest thing, $20 a week out of your paycheck, or if you put it in your savings account, or if you start a mutual fund, or if you put money into your Roth IRA, maybe, you start a Roth IRA, and another time we'll speak the differences of different tools based on your age and what your goals are. But today we're speaking about that first seed, that you plant that first seed. So that's, that story I just gave you about the avocado tree. It's not fluff. I saw it. I saw when they planted that first seed. And I remember they picked from the tree, but I couldn't remember how much time did it take. And he told me it was 10 years. Now the same, if he would have every so often mess with the tree, not nurture it properly, let things come into it. You know how when whether if it's farming or plants or flowers, you have to protect them. You have to, depends on what it is, you got to have the right lighting, the right feeding or watering. The same thing with our finances. Some of us maybe never done that before. Some of us never put $20 aside or start an emergency fund. And then after a little while, a few weeks, a couple of months, maybe we have $1,000. But that's not the ultimate goal. But because we are impatient, we mess with it, and I use that word mess, that's part of my culture, but it could be trouble it or dig into it. But that's not the harvest. That's just part of the progression period. So that's why we have to be patient, just like a farmer. If a farmer plants whatever seeds, and the ultimate goal is to have a whole crop of whatever it is that he's growing, but midway, he starts like picking on it, and this one looks kind of good, but it's not ready. So he starts messing with the whole area. Next thing you know, when harvest time, he's not going to have what his intentions were, what he predicted it was going to be. And the same thing with our finances. So if the ultimate goal is to have $5,000 on your emergency fund, why when we're to 1,000, we're taking $400? That's not the goal. You listen, open another account, put it under your bed for that. But for that emergency fund, there's no reason why you should be touching it unless it's an emergency. And I know some of us think paying our phone bill is an emergency. Some of us think like, something, I need some gas to get to work, that's an emergency. No, you should have provision for that. Emergency is when if you lose your job and you 3 months to get another job, you need to pay your mortgage. That's an emergency, amongst other things. Of course, you have medical emergencies and things like that. So that is part of the progression time. But today, we're still speaking about the seed time. Let me calm down, because sometimes I get so loud and passionate. So now, I want to ask you that you're listening to me or watching me, what seeds are you planting today? Is it for an emergency fund? Is it to, like I said, down payment for a home? Is it for next year's vacation? All of that has a beginning. See, the important part is you know what you want. You know your harvest. You know what you want to reap. So that's why you have to plant the correct seed. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning, I want you to share this with someone. Your assignment is to share this with someone that whether you feel they need it or not, because most of us do not share our finances with our friends, not even with our family members. So I need you to share this. But if you haven't thought about it yet, this is your other assignment today. What is your harvest? What is your ultimate goal? I'm using the word harvest, but it means what do you want to reap so that you can start sowing today? That's the planting. That's planting of the seed. What you want, what do you want to reap so that you can start planting today? And yes, I know some of you might say, oh, well, it's too late. No, it's never too late. Too late is when you're 6 feet under. You're still 6 feet above. So it's not too late. The important thing is to start when? Today. So tomorrow we are going to speak about the progression time, which is the part that excites me the most, because that's where the growth happens. Right? That you're planting, it's okay, you're starting. But the progression time, that's where the growth happens. And that's where you need to be most patient. And I laugh because I've been there. I know how we could get impatient and we start thinking it's not going to happen. Let me give you one last example. When I started this journey about finances, it was for self. Because even though I had worked for so many years and I had been in business for so many years, I had came to a point that even though we had made money, we had traveled, we had been able to, reap some of the rewards of our finances and our personal life and our professional life. But I came to a point like, something? How does money really work? How can, you hear people saying, let money work for you. So that was my journey. That's how I started. But it evolved to educating individuals to also learn how money works. Because there's no fun living paycheck to paycheck. You agree with me? Put it in the comments. If you're here with me in Facebook Live. But little by little, that's me planting the seeds for myself on how to not only manage my own money, but get to my ultimate goal, to reap my harvest, to reap what I sowed. Then that evolved into this financial educational journey that I am with you here today. So your future, I'm going to leave you with this. Your future depends on the seeds that you plant today. So don't wait for the perfect time. Start now. So again, thank you for joining me today. So excited to speak for you tomorrow regarding the most important part, which is the progression part. So tell your friends, tag your girlfriends about day 3. So again, thank you for joining me. Elaine, your financial coach, your favorite financial coach, helping you save money, make money, and get out of debt. Bye for now.